And reality is that sometimes something is so traumatizing that your brain knows how to block it off completely. We are trying to encourage these men, if they are going through some pressure moments, to actually talk to somebody and get support. If the next stage is we've actually got a psychotherapist within the community that ManTalk can pay for if they want the support.
Powered by WinLads.
I heard this crazy stat about men's. What is it, Anthony?
Well, that's a hard question for the start, mate. It's 75%.
75% of all deaths are men. Wow. Welcome to Under the Coconut Tree today, guys. This is Tanila, and today we have Anthony who's going to be talking about men's mental health. Anthony, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, mate, on this pretty awesome subject, because we're in the path of helping men. So I really appreciate you inviting me along. And let's go for it.
Let's go for it. Look, I'm really happy to have you on because you do some absolutely outstanding work that I've witnessed firsthand myself. Now, there's a lot to unpack here, but you have set up a foundation essentially called ManTalk, which is the primary reason what I want to hear about. So tell me a little about ManTalk and how it came to be.
Yeah, look, let's go from now to backwards.
Sure,
so
okay.
ManTalk is really what it's all about, talk, right? We don't talk enough.
And why is that?
It's because we talk a lot. We have a very good way of smiling, putting a facade, and actually not talking about the real things that we should be talking about.
Right.
We talk about a lot of other stuff like gym, girls, cars.
So a lot of shit that
all
doesn't
the surface
matter?
stuff.
Okay.
All the surface stuff. And the reason that ManTalk actually started, mate, is because one guy that did exactly the same thing, unfortunately, is not with us anymore.
Right, and you were close to this person?
Yeah.
All right, so how long ago was this?
So this happened about just over 12 months ago.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
just over 12 months ago now.
Yeah.
It happened because, again, like I said, it was a facade. He was going through a lot of troubling times himself at home.
Yeah.
And he, without talking and getting the right support, he just did what he thought was the only way out, really.
So from the outside in, because you were talking to this gentleman often, right? You didn't get a glimpse of any of the terrible stuff and adversities he was facing.
A lot of guys are good at it. A lot of men are good at, like I said, doing the surface level stuff, and they think that it's not manly to get the support. It's stoic to just hide it away and just get on with it, just keep moving. But the thing is, with more studies, the more I'm digging in, the more the people around me are learning about this, what we're finding is that there is an instance where it just keeps bubbling away. It just keeps bubbling away. They just keep hiding it and not talking about it. And it gets to the point where, people or men can handle one difficult situation in their life. You throw two, they might be able to get through that. But you throw the third one, and that's when they think this is too hard for me.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So let's just pretend that, their son or daughter, they're going through a difficult situation at home, right? That's a difficult situation they've got to deal with. Then the third one is maybe they're going through a difficult situation at work. Numbers, whatever it may be. KPIs, whatever it may be. They're struggling with both now at the same time. The third one, unfortunately, is a very common one, which is marriage breakups or relationship breakdowns. Separations, you throw that in there, they just think, that
game over.
It came over. I just can't deal with it anymore.
Yeah, right. And that's a common kind of trend that you're seeing with everyone you're talking to.
Yeah.
Right, okay. And do you feel like people from our cultural background, Southeast Asians specifically, how are you going to sell mental health and talking to someone about your feelings? Like, I'm just imagining like my uncles or my grandpa talking about, especially ones back in Sri Lanka, and be like, hey, I'm not in a good space, I need to talk about my feelings. Now, I get what you're saying, but imagine selling that to someone with that kind of upbringing.
Look, I feel like that, I'm the typical curry as well.
Yeah, you're typical curry, okay.
Typical curry, don't want to talk about these kind of things, and I went through that myself for a long period.
You're a pretty stoic guy, man.
Exactly.
And also you're built like a rugby player, so I feel like you don't have emotions, right? That's the general...
Exactly right. I went through it myself, and until you actually go through it yourself with your own personal story, personal journey, and then you have somebody close to you go through that, you don't feel it. You can't grasp what the information is coming at you. You can go to seminars and hear about 75% of men are the ones that are committing. You can hear about 1 out of 8 people are men to get depression. 5 out of 10 men will get anxiety in their lifetime. You can hear all that information.
It's just stats and pages, right? Yeah.
Until you actually go through it with one of your own friends or own family members or even yourself, that's when you kind of go, okay, this is real.
And isn't what the highest or the highest proportion of deaths above, correct me if I'm wrong, is it above 30 or above 40 in men's death is actually
Yeah, so I had to get this stat so I get it right. It's between 15 to 44, the age group.
Yep.
Right? 75% of all of that is men. Suicide.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy number.
70%.
Yeah, 75.
75. 3/4 of people that are dying between those numbers.
Correct.
Did you say 15?
15 to 44. Isn't it crazy?
That's not even men. That's boys.
I shouldn't even use the word crazy, but the fact that there's such a young age, right? Like back in the day when we went to school, man.
Yeah.
We used to go to school, do what we need to do, or get through what we need to get through, go home and forget about it.
Yeah.
Nowadays, unfortunately, the younger population, they go home and that problem follows them home through social media and whatever, texting.
Yeah, right.
All that kind of stuff.
So sometimes the torment doesn't end at 3:15 p.m.
Correct,
It's
yeah.
all the way 24/7, I guess.
Correct, yeah.
And that's causing people to be what? Overthinking, more anxious,
yeah.
ultimately depressed even,
Yeah,
and then
they
feel
can't
like
get
they
away
have,
from it.
They
Yeah.
can't get it.
Yeah.
There's no other option. And I guess, I mean, you went through obviously something quite traumatic, but regardless, I mean, I roughly know your story because you spoke about it a little bit before, your upbringing, how you were sent here, you're by yourself, you faced some problems with racial abuse, you got bullied, you got beat up, you know, and all this stuff happened. Mate, you seem to be one of the most resilient people I know, and even personally, when my mum passed away and we were going through all that, you had so much shit on your plate that I know, you know, you actually came down and you were just at the hospital.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, I love you for that, and I always
Thank
will.
you.
But you do that not just for me. I've seen it time and time again. You know, you went and spoke to my dad, you spoke to my sister, you came over to our house, you came to the hospital, and I see this with multiple people you're doing it for. That's, first of all, it's unbelievable. It's extremely selfless, and I feel like we need more of you in the world. But why? Like, why are you so available and why are you so supportive? I mean, it's beautiful, but I just want to know your why, so maybe we can get more Anthonys out there or inspire a few other listeners to do what you're doing.
Look, it has to come deep within. Look, I was in a boarding school back when I was young. So in a boarding school, a lot of things go on, a lot of riff-raff, right? And unfortunately, you know, I got to that dark cloud moment where, you know, those in Sinhalese it's called kapuru balls. Do you know what kapuru balls?
Is it the smelling ones?
Yeah, the what are they called?
Like mothballs?
The mothballs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, cool.
So I shouldn't be laughing about this, but I was at that stage. I was like 13. I was getting bullied left, right, and center. Ate a whole heap of mothballs, and luckily for me,
as in to try suicide.
Like it was like, you know, you
shit.
don't think, right? You don't think you're getting bullied left, right, and center, and you know, you just do what you think is needs to be done. And luckily for me, my bullies are the ones who actually choked me and made me throw up and got me through that. Wow. And I guess they felt bad for me as well. After that, it all stopped and things got a bit better. And reality is that sometimes something is so traumatizing that your brain knows how to block it off completely. It's like, really weird.
Like it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
Never happened.
It never happens. It never, right? So then I guess growing up, like I watched my mom, you know, I heard her stories, not watched, but heard her stories, how she was born in a little village and she grew up and she then unfortunately went through a difficult marriage. You know, Sri Lankan dads, you know, work hard, play hard. Obviously play hard means having a bit too much alcohol and then take it out on the wife. And she was strong enough to go, I'm going to leave, you know, and build something for herself.
That's incredible, like especially a few decades ago.
Exactly right. For divorce back in our day when we were young was never heard of.
That's taboo, right?
Taboo, exactly right. So she was very mentally strong to be able to do that. And now she's like worked her way up because she's gone through that courageous movement. You know, now she helps young kids. She helps women, you know, get through that, and she's like one of the leading females in Sri Lanka, just helping through that. So that gives me power that even one person can make a difference in somebody's life.
So I guess you could say you found your purpose.
Yeah.
So give me your purpose in a sentence or two.
Wanting to do without never expecting anything back.
So completely selfless, essentially.
Yeah.
Right. And do you ever compare yourself to other people and being like, you know what, maybe if I didn't do this, I could progress in my career more or progress in my personal life more? Like, how do you judge your own success with helping others? I'm just curious because I think it's a fascinating balance.
I feel like I'm already successful in a way that I don't want to expect anything back. So
Gotcha.
if I want to do something, I'm only doing it because I want to do it.
Yeah.
And because I don't want anything back.
Gotcha.
I feel like doing it that way, I also don't stress myself out thinking, oh, I helped that person. Why didn't they come to me when I needed help? Or come for my
Because a lot of us do that.
Yeah.
Like, I catch myself doing that all the time.
Yeah.
And then I feel like, why am I being such a prick for?
Yeah.
Like, I did this out of the goodness of my heart, but now I expect this person to, I don't know, give me a lift back or something like that, or buy me a meal back.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, right.
And to be in that successful mindset, you don't need a lot of money. You don't need a lot of fancy cars or anything like that. You just have to know within yourself, you have enough to keep yourself happy, and you have enough time and energy to help somebody else that's in need, right? That's my purpose, really.
Yeah,
like,
right.
I don't expect anything back.
Yeah.
And to your point before, the reason I came to your when you're going through a tough time is because I've noticed that when something happens to somebody, a lot of people around them are scared to call, thinking, oh, is it the right time to call or not the right time to call?
Yeah, okay.
A lot of people think, oh, we need to give that person some time to get through that. But then if everybody did that, all of a sudden you're sitting there thinking,
There's no one here.
Nobody likes me.
Yeah, okay, right.
So, you know what I mean?
You got a point, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of the times, and also me being not the closest person to you, it's a little bit easier for you as well.
Might be less daunting, I
Less
guess.
daunting, right?
Yeah.
I've got a mate here, I can talk to him. He's not going to judge me because I'm going through a tough time, you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
And it actually brought us really close.
It
right?
did.
And it's done that to me in the past as well.
Yeah, and like I said, I've seen it with you doing it for many people. And you have these Facebook groups that I've seen. You
Yeah.
have these Instagram groups that you're in where you promote not only mental health, but also physical health.
Yeah.
And I see you doing some crazy stuff in the mornings as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you wake up bloody every 5 a.m. every day and go to the beach or something ridiculous. And you always invite me. I am never going to come. Let us be, and listen to everyone. I will never wake up that early and go to this. But I think it's great that you're doing it.
Yeah.
So I guess that kind of leads me to the next part. That attitude and that consistency is probably why ManTalk has kind of exponentially grown from what I've seen over the last 6 months or so.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's all built up little by little towards ManTalk.
Yeah.
So to give an example, where it all started was me not wanting to do the basic everyday meeting with somebody in a cafe face to face, right? I used to say, hey, you know what? We should really go and do a bit of a workout. I'm already working out. Do you want to come with me? And I used to have business meetings while working out.
Yes.
Right? And then COVID happened.
Right, okay.
And we all went into a bit of a slump. We all went into our little...
Put on about 10 kilos, yeah.
Yeah, right? And then one day I woke up and thought, you know what? Cool, I don't know how long this is going to go. Let's just start something. And I used to hate cardio, right? And we had no other way to do some exercise. So I just jumped online with a couple of people and said, guys, let's just do something online on a Saturday morning or something like that. We started lifting water bottles. We started putting books in kids' backpacks and squatting and all sorts of stuff. And all of a sudden, it grew to a group of like 50, 60 people online. Now, let me confirm to you, not everybody's going to jump online and try and do this stuff with me. But they used to be in that group because then they could see that somebody was doing some exercise, and then they'll go for a walk, and then they'll post something saying, you know, it's great to go for fresh air and get some...
And then might motivate somebody else.
Okay. Exactly right. So exercise doesn't need to be going to the gym and lifting heavy weights. It could be start somewhere, right? If you're not doing anything, start with nutrition.
Yeah, slight segue though. So what are you deadlifting these days?
I've had 180 to 200.
200, yeah. What are you benching?
Benching is hopeless. 100.
Just 100. That's like 2 of me.
That's it.
Just to be very clear. All right. So you're a huge dude, and you don't get many Sri Lankans that are that big. Yeah. Now I know that like your 2 boys. You got 2 boys that are both NFL players, not NFL, but like a gridiron players, and
Yeah.
they're also huge in the gym.
Yeah.
So do you guys train together? Is that kind of a motivation thing?
Well, I wanted the exercise to be part of the family dynamics as well.
Okay.
Right? I wanted my kids to not just do sport and finish at the age of
Okay.
18 and struggle.
Right.
A lot of kids, unfortunately, they're really good at sport at school.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, when school finishes, they go to get the job or whatever, and that exercise part drops off.
Yeah. Okay.
So I wanted to build it as a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Whether they, if they can continue after school, it'd be awesome. And so yeah, they take their mates to the gym and everything like that.
Yeah. Nice.
It's part of DNA, I guess.
Yeah, have you noticed? I mean, I've noticed this very, very often. Like, once you hit 30,
Yeah.
like all my mates around this age, they're not doing too well.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know about mentally. Maybe mentally they're fine because I don't pick up on cues probably as well as you. But
Yeah.
physically, I start to see them deteriorate quite significantly. Their knees hurt, their back hurt. They're not consistently doing anything.
Yeah.
Now, I know ManTalk's a bit of everything. So I guess if someone was to be a part of ManTalk and
Yeah.
maybe get some help, what would they get out of it? I mean, you're essentially one of the co-founders and,
Yeah.
and you're the president, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So the ManTalk is now set up professionally. It's
Amazing.
president, treasurer, accountant, associate members, ambassadors.
Wow.
Right. So everything's set up well. We got some ambassadors interstate as well. So we went slow at the start, so that we can have it set up professionally for long term, not just
Okay.
come on board, do a few events, and run away. So we got ambassadors interstate. Now we've got sponsors like the NAB,
Wow.
AMP, aggregators like NMB,
Wow.
insurers like ALI, Mortgage Choice.
Just some big backing there.
Big backing there,
Yeah.
yeah. Because they genuinely, I guess these companies have been around in our industry for 30 years, 25 years, and they know that there's a stigma around men not talking,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Now, 75% of the finance industry community is all men.
Yeah, right.
Right. So if you look at the numbers around, how many guys are there and how many might be going through difficult situations,
Yeah.
there's a high probability, right?
Well, yeah, I feel like it's a very majority more than the minority.
Yeah. Now, the reason for that is because customers are going through an emotional transaction.
Okay,
That-
talk us through that.
Yeah. So when you want to buy a house,
Okay.
it's an emotional transaction. They're about to get into a house. They're excited. They're moving from rental to buying their own house. It's the Australian dream.
The Aussie dream,
The
yeah,
Aussie
yeah.
dream, right? They've talked to like 5 different mates with 5 different bits of information. They've gone to the bank and the bank have said, yes or no, depending on their policy.
Yeah.
They go to the mortgage broker. The mortgage broker's got, like 40 plus lenders to choose from.
Yeah.
Depending on that customer's circumstances,
Gotta put them in the right.
put them in the right box, right?
Yeah.
Now, while they're trying to do that, the customer's stressed, going,
Yeah.
I've got to go to auction on this Saturday. Can you please give me a quick approval?
Yeah.
The agent's calling me saying, they've got so many buyers. Can you quickly...
They're stressing
They're stressing
out,
out, right? So the broker's job is to take that stress and project it in a very calm and collected manner, going, it's okay, da, da,
Yeah.
da, da. All the while, he's like the duck paddling away going, oh my God, I've sent 5 different emails to 5 different BDMs. They haven't got back to me. I need to submit this.
Yeah.
I've asked the customer for the paperwork. They haven't given me the paperwork yet. So they're going through a lot of stress.
The
right?
duck metaphor is beautiful there because it's
It-
exactly
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
all, everything's all good, everything, but really they're just losing their shit.
Yeah. And unfortunately, your customer sometimes forgets to give you a bit of information, valuable bit of information. So you've given the business development manager what, the information you have. So they say a yes based on that. You ultimately submit the application.
There's a gap.
There's a gap.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the assessor's calling saying, it might not work. Now the broker's stressing you out.
That
Right.
in turn stresses out the client who's going to go through
exactly right. So,
Yeah.
75% again are men.
Yeah.
Right,
Wow.
75% of brokers are men.
Would you assume that the higher percentage of men committing primarily because it's slowly changing now, but it's because men were put in charge of the household, making sure the household is functioning, there's a roof over the head. Do you reckon that's got something to do with it?
Possibly. I mean, men like to take a bit of stress too. It makes them feel good. It makes them feel like they're taking away that pressure from their partner because they love them, right? They
Yeah,
love
yeah.
the partner, they love the kids, so they don't want to put that pressure on them. So they take that pressure upon themselves.
Yeah, gotcha.
Now, we are trying to encourage these men, if they are going through some pressure moments, to actually talk to somebody and get support. So talking doesn't mean you go straight to the psychologist or the psychiatrist straight away.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody means talking to a mate.
Okay, cool.
Right? But you also need to pick the mates that are not going to consistently keep giving you advice. Because men already kind of have the answer. They just want to get it out of them.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you feel like men just go into solution mode? That's why men and women always have a fight. Because sometimes women are just like, I want to just vent. So what I learned in relationships I've been is, if the missus is going to say something and complain, my question is, do you want solutions or do you just want to vent?
Yeah.
And that
I've heard
saves
that, actually.
so much in unnecessary drama.
Yeah.
Because if it's just a vent, yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Karen is being an asshole. You're absolutely right. Stuff Karen. You know, but if it's solutions, because that's what we do as men, right?
Yeah.
There's a problem, you're like, let me fix it, because we're Mr. Fix It. And I guess when two men talk, it's just what? Solution.
Problem solvers, right?
Yeah, two problem solvers. Yeah. You're butting heads.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Okay,
so
cool.
you do need to pick that mate that goes, man, you know what? Tell me more. Why are you feeling like that?
Yeah.
Tell me more. Like, you told me this last week. What's changed this week?
Yeah.
You told me this last week. It sounds like it's getting worse. Tell me more.
Yeah,
Not,
okay.
have you tried this? Have you tried that? Have you tried this? Right?
Elaborate.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
right.
that's step number one.
Okay.
If you feel like you really want to talk to somebody and actually start putting something into action,
Yeah.
there are numbers you can call. So look, I wanted to give these numbers online for everyone to hear.
Yeah, please share them.
Lifeline number is 13 11 14
Yep.
24/7. Beyond Blue 1300 224 636, and the men's helpline number is 1300 78 9978. Free. This
Anytime.
is all free anytime. And the good thing is, they're not going to ask your name, your phone number, your email address, any of that.
Yeah. It's
They just-
completely confidential.
Yeah, completely
And anonymous.
confidential. And they will just start talking.
Yeah, okay.
And I have done this myself as well.
And how was the
right?
experience? Because a lot of people are scared to actually call these
I
numbers.
rang it at 11:30 at night. I remember this.
Tell us about it.
I actually felt low for ringing that number.
Wow.
I was thinking, I'm at a really tough point that I need to talk to these people at 11:30 at night.
And how did it go?
But after that, I was like, that was all right.
yeah?
Like,
What do they ask? Like, I'm always curious. I've never done it. Maybe I should,
Open-ended questions,
Right.
but they do genuinely, make you feel like it's okay to be stressed sometimes,
Yeah, okay.
right? It's okay to be stressed sometimes. They also do genuinely ask you straight up, are you having suicidal thoughts? It makes you actually think, because your mates wouldn't ask you that.
And also, you're like, am I having idle thoughts?
Yeah. Because your mates would never ask you, right?
Yeah, they probably wouldn't. It's
No.
kind of a taboo topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But these guys or girls are trained to kind of go straight to it after
Yeah.
a little while. If they feel like the conversation's getting to a point that they are feeling like, okay, I need to ask this person the
Yeah.
actual question, they will ask you. And they
Yeah.
ask me as well, right?
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, look, thanks for asking the question. I'm not there yet. I'm nowhere there yet. But I just wanted to get these thoughts out of my head because I can't sleep. And they're like, okay, let's talk through this.
Yeah.
It was awesome, actually.
That's awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
So you felt like it was a positive experience all
Yeah,
all
yeah,
around.
yeah, exactly. I've probably rang it about 2-3 times. When I don't want to talk to anyone.
Yeah.
right? I've got
Just
a
be
lot of people
completely
like
unjudged.
Yeah,
and just
completely
have a chat, have a
unjudged,
yarn,
yeah.
vent, hang up, and you go to bed.
That's
Okay.
it, yeah. And it's not like you can call back and they have a recollection of that and you talk to Tommy again.
Yeah.
It's not like that. It's like you're talking to somebody completely different.
Yeah, right.
Then the third one really is getting the real support you need. If you think like nothing's working, you feel heavy all the time, you feel tired all the time, your productivity is not there, you can't move forward, you should just pull the trigger and, call the suicide line and
Yeah,
go, you know
absolutely.
what, I need some support.
I mean, yeah.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that,
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
right?
It's
So,
it's a tough call to make, but I think the more people talk about it,
Yeah.
the easier it is. And
Yeah.
and personally, like, I have a close group of friends that are awesome, but
Yeah.
I don't think everyone has that they can just talk about it with anybody.
Yeah.
Like my best friend's in Canada.
Yeah.
I got another one in Reservoir, out of all places, which is
Yeah.
just as far as Canada.
Yeah.
And like I can call them any time of the day.
Yeah.
And I feel like most people don't have that. So I guess it's important that you understand that not everyone has things at their
Yeah.
fingertips like you may. So you might want to be at that person's fingertips just in case they are going through such a tough time.
And I've had the opposite. Where I guess because I do have such a facade myself,
Yeah.
that people think, oh, he's got everything sorted, I'm going to call him.
We had a conversation about this a few months ago, remember? Yeah.
So I've had a text message from
Yep.
a person that I've known for more than 15 years
Wow.
saying, mate, I'm so sorry to say this to you. I know all the things that you're doing for men's health. Unfortunately, I'm in the ER right now. This was probably about 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, early.
And he goes, last night I did something, and luckily for me, it didn't go through for me. And luckily for me, the ambulance and the police found me, and I'm in an emergency room. I just can't talk at the moment.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this guy tried to end his life.
Yeah, he tried to end his life. Yeah.
And you had no idea. You've known him for 15 years.
Yeah, no idea. Look, he told me that he'd have, separation problems and, few things at work that's not going in the right direction. But you could never pick that he was at that stage.
To the very end.
You never pick it, right? So fast forward like 5 months,
Yep.
we actually had an eyeball conversation, face to face.
How did it go?
It was so good to see he himself say, I'm so grateful now that didn't happen.
Wow.
Because the guy's got 2 young kids. He's still going through separation. He's still going through work problems.
Yeah.
But he's to hear him say, I'm so grateful that didn't happen, because now I value the time with my kids.
So the perspectives has changed.
I'm so
completely.
much more present, he
Yeah,
goes,
right.
with my kids.
And that's a
right?
key point, like being present. People often tend to
Yeah.
forget. Right.
Yeah, that was
Wow. That would hit you hard.
That hit me hard. We were crying in the cafe. We were hugging it out.
It's a beautiful moment.
Yeah. It's
Two
really-
grown men crying and hugging in a cafe over a
what
scone or
you know
something.
what the funniest part is?
Yeah, go me.
I can't cry with my partner, but I can cry with guys.
Yeah.
Like in a closed environment, obviously,
Not in the middle of the MCG while
No.
100,000 people looking at you. No, I think that's
No.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Look, I want to get a bit of information from you
Yeah.
for anyone that either might be going through a tough time
Yeah.
themselves or they feel like one of their friends is going through. So if you can give me a bit of advice for the former and the latter
Yeah.
of how someone can deal with it internally themselves.
Yeah.
And then secondly, for someone that has a friend or a family member that's going through, but they don't know exactly how to approach that situation
yeah.
because that can be very difficult to do. What would they be, and how can ManTalk
Yeah.
and people like Anthony help?
Yeah, so firstly, going to the ManTalk side of things,
Sure.
right? ManTalk is set up for the finance industry, so mortgage brokers,
Sure.
any staff members, anyone that's going through that. Because we can't
Do everyone.
save the world,
Yeah,
right?
of course,
we
yeah.
can't save the world, but if you can save one person, there'll be a flow-on effect,
Sure.
right? So ManTalk is set up so that we've got including myself that's gone through mental health first aid courses. So we've got about 7 of us.
Yep.
So you can reach out to anyone in ManTalk, whether it's through my Instagram or through the ManTalk Instagram, ManTalk Facebook, ManTalk LinkedIn.
Yep.
And one of us will obviously get in touch with them. If the next stage is we've actually got a psychotherapist within the community
Yep.
that ManTalk can pay for if they want the support.
Amazing.
Right.
Wow.
And then the next level also on the side is that, for the industry, that's anyone that's listening, there's the FBAA, they've got their own EAP program.
Yep.
And then some aggregators have it as well. So look, if you put your hand up, somebody will help.
Yep.
That's the first thing, right?
Okay.
Now going back to the conversation around, I guess, if you are going through something yourself,
Yep.
I believe you've got to change the space that you're in, what you're going through. What that might look like is different to everybody. But what I've learned is that when you're in a depressive state, when you're in an anxiety, depressive state, even just getting out of the couch is hard. You feel like there's a big rock on you and you just don't want to move.
Don't want to do anything.
Don't want to do anything. My superhero is Juggernaut.
Okay.
And Juggernaut's superpower comes from momentum.
Yeah.
So my theory is, even if you can force your one leg out of the bed or the couch, the next leg, get up and just start moving. Just have that momentum to move you out of the door, go for a fresh air. I can tell you it'll change change that space a little
So
bit.
just take even the smallest of steps to get some momentum
Don't make
going.
it too complicated. Don't think like, okay, to get me out of this, I got to go and go to the gym, or I got to go for a jog, go for a run, or anything like too big.
Yeah.
Just something small, because that small momentum will actually get you out of that space, out of that mindset, the fresh air and everything. So a lot of people don't think the basics of things. When you're moving, as in walking, your blood needs to move a bit more. You're breathing a bit more. So when you're breathing, you've got clean oxygen going into your lungs. That's mixing in with the blood. That's going into your brain, and it's giving you a bit more cleaner blood.
A boost, essentially.
Right. It's like a booster because
right.
it's cleaner blood, right? Or versus you're sitting on the couch and just thinking away. Everything's slow, nothing's moving, you don't have as much clean blood going, all that kind of stuff. So keep it very basic, very simple.
Movement's good, being lethargic is not.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
All right.
Now, if you're on the outside,
And then you're seeing someone that you care
Yeah.
about terribly
correct,
going through something you're not sure,
correct.
how would you approach them?
So I've gone through the mental health first aid course
So
myself.
give me the official answer.
Yeah. No, look, the official answer is really, we are not psychotherapists, we're not psychologists, we're not actually there to cure anything,
Yeah, okay.
right? All we are there is to see something that is not the normal character of a person,
Yep.
pick up those signals, and then say, even the simplest question like, hey, look, I've noticed you're not yourself, right?
What's going on?
Let's go for a walk.
Okay.
Right? Let's go for a drive. Let's do something, right? You don't want to do anything? Great. Let's just sit here and have a chat, right? Because the hardest thing is, you don't want them to feel like, oh, this guy's so annoying. He wants to go for a walk or a jog or something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Even if it's simple thing like sitting there talking for a bit, because after a bit of talking, they might say, you know what, I feel a bit better. Let's go for a walk, right?
All right.
So the first thing is just being with them in their space without making them too uncomfortable, right? By simply asking the question, hey, I'm just seeing things that are just not the same with you. What's going on? Look, I'm not going to give you advice here. Just if you want to talk to me. We'll have a bit of a chat. If you don't want to talk to me, I'm happy to sit here and watch a movie with you.
Just be present.
Just be present, right? Because after a little bit of time you being there with them, it'll be so uncomfortable that for that person, he'll want to talk anyway.
Yeah, otherwise it's like awkward silence.
It's
It's like a
awkward
weird
silence.
date.
Yeah. Second phase is if they are talking, don't give advice. If they are talking, ask more questions like, why are you feeling like that?
That's really good because
Right?
most people tend to give advice.
Yeah, open-ended questions. Just keep them talking. Even in a normal business meeting, right? One of the sales tactics is let the other person talk. Because most of the time when you're talking, you feel more comfortable to want to do business with the other person,
Yeah, okay.
right? So similarly, when you're going into that space, you just want to make them start talking first and ask so many certain type of questions that they do most of the talking.
Mm-hmm.
And then that will make them feel comfortable to even tell you more and more and more. Then the next step is, I guess, you want to encourage them to call one of these lines,
Okay.
right? Because they're the trained professionals,
Yeah.
right? Especially if you're a mate and you haven't gone through anything like a first aid course or anything like that,
Of
mental
course.
health first aid course. You don't want to be going in to try and solve the problem as such.
Yeah.
You might want to say, mate, look, I hear where you're coming from. Look, it's probably best you talk to somebody who can actually guide you in the right direction. I'm here for you as well. If you feel like us talking is helping, great, let's talk. But mate, I really would feel more comfortable knowing that you're going to make a phone call when I'm gone. That
Beautiful,
kind of
man.
stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome. So look, we'll put all those numbers
Yeah.
on our pages so people can reach out quite easily and they have access to it.
Yeah.
There's no excuse to not be able to find the numbers. Anthony, thank you so much for coming on. I learned so much from you and I really hope everyone listening did as well. So guys, thank you for tuning in for Under the Coconut Tree, where we interview some really cool people doing some out-of-the-box stuff to benefit you personally and also to benefit society in general. Wick, thanks so much, mate. And subscribe and like for the next episode because we've got heaps more to come.
Powered by WinLads.